If you've struggled with stress, balance, or burnout, and simply feel discouraged or even defeated, and if you're ready to move from force to flow and enjoy ultimate Zen success in your career, health, or relationships, then the Zen Success Show is for you. Your host, Carissa Sims, is an entrepreneur, corporate consultant, best-selling author, meditation teacher, and healer who has found her own Zen success. Here's your host, Carissa Sims.
Welcome to this week's episode of Zen Success. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Rebecca Renck. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi. Thank you for having me here.
Oh, it's so wonderful to have you. And I just love talking about healing and using health and nutrition to heal. So this is right up my alley. I'm so excited to dive into this. So let me share more about Rebecca. As an advocate for holistic healing and self-empowerment in the face of chronic illness, Rebecca Renck has lived by the motto that you decide how sick you want to be. Diagnosed with acute Crohn's disease and then breast cancer, she was determined not to let her illnesses define her life. Brave woman you are. Even when others try to define it for you, they put you in a box.
Absolutely.
Instead, for the past 35 years, she has embraced a grounded lifestyle approach centered on self-care, listening to her body, and reducing toxins to manage her health. As an author and coach, she shares her journey and insights to inspire others to harness their body's innate ability to heal itself. She is the author of Healing Habits: How to Help Your Body Heal Itself from Chronic Illness. So happy to connect with you, Rebecca.
I am happy to be here. It's quite the honor. So I appreciate it.
Yes, wonderful. So what inspired you to write this book, Healing Habits? Would you share a little bit about that?
I will. Like you said, I had started my journey 35 years ago. And at the time that I was diagnosed, there just wasn't a lot of options. There was very little, quote unquote, self-help available. Meditation was just starting to come on the scene, and, to find anything organic to eat or to, oh, I guess I would say alternative care. It was there, but it was hard to find. There was no Google search. I was going to Barnes and Noble to find information. And it was, at that time, I was kind of forced and thrust into that. I had a choice of, the standard medical protocol or finding something out to help myself. And I realized the more I tried to help myself after I made that really stubborn decision that I was not going to be on pills all my life or the surgeries and things like that, that it really did work. And fast forward to about 10 years ago when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I again kind of turned to the holistic side, kind of looked at my cupboards and said, oh my goodness, this is where my cancer is coming from. Looked at my relationships and kind of redid and revamped, because I really had the Crohn's more or less under control. And at that time, the working with the breast cancer and alternative treatments with that, I was amazed at how many people still were relying only on the medical side of things. And not to say that that's not important. It is so important. It really is a collaboration between your medical team and knowledge and self-care and all of the above. And so that's where I came up with, I really felt that people needed permission. That's kind of my buzzword at the very beginning. It's like, everybody should give themselves permission to look outside the box. They should give themselves the grace and the believe in themselves, give themselves the trust to really believe that they can help themselves too. You don't just have to rely on someone else telling you what to do and what's best for you.
Yes, yes, that's amazing. I'm also amazed by how much of a renegade you are, you know? And also myself, I was really surprised that in this day and age, okay, so I was diagnosed with cervical cancer in 2020, a couple of
Mhm.
weeks before COVID hit. And, I wasn't 100% going to deny conventional medicine, but when they told me that the standard treatment of care is a radical hysterectomy, um, and it just felt like who will I be if everything is removed that is my feminine womb, that is my essence, that is my goddess energy, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't I didn't resonate with it. And so my cousin is a doctor and all my family, they were scared out of their minds that I didn't do what the doctor said. And I'm
Right.
like, and I'm thinking, I didn't think this is that outrageous, because there is a lot of help.
Right.
So yeah. And what do you mean by conventional medicine is not our only option when it comes to managing chronic disease? Because you had the blessing from the universe to have two, right? Crohn's
Yes.
and breast cancer. So, I
Yes,
mean, because I feel like you probably learned different things from Crohn's and breast cancer, right?
I did. I did. Um, but in reality, they're both chronic illnesses. And that
Okay, so you
was that
can
was
put
kind
them
of
in the same category. Got
it,
it.
it is kind of it's a little bit of there's a common denominator there. It's body inflammation. We're finding out lots and lots and lots of information both on Crohn's and how the gut is involved in that, the gut biome, and inflammation and things like that. But cancer the same way. I mean, they're finding that cancers are a lot of inflammation, and how
I believe that. I
we
believe
can
that.
yeah, and how we can deal with that is reducing the inflammation. And so though that becomes reducing stress, that becomes reducing. Um, I had a doctor. My husband was diagnosed with MS at one point, and the doctor said, "Don't stress your body in any way, shape, or form." That probably was the best advice that I got anywhere, and how simple and how concrete that was. Don't stress your body in any way, shape, or form. And so that, of course,
Interesting.
includes this whole great big sphere of information and, emotions and foods and toxins and, just everything, everything. And so, so yeah, as far as being kind of a renegade, I like that idea. I really think I was. But when we talk about conventional medicine, it's not our only option, is because I like to think about it when we cut ourselves. You cut your finger with a knife, and really without any, I wouldn't say any, but without much intervention, your body's going to heal that cut.
Yeah, your
If you have a
body
broken
wants to
bone,
heal. So it's
yeah.
funny that I love that you give that example, such a simple example,
Mm-hmm.
and we can see it healing every day or every hour. But then when there's something that happens inside of our bodies, people, for some reason, don't make that connection. Even myself, until I had a chronic disease.
Oh, right. And I don't know, I guess it's the unknown part of it
Yeah,
that I think needs to be addressed.
right. And
Doctors
it's
have,
a mystery
we think
kind of,
doctors have studied all of this inside of our body. They've
yes.
seen the insides of us and say that they know what's going on better than we do. And when you get down to it, what you have to allow and where the healing comes in and the habits come in are in fact the inner knowing and the inner belief that your body is still your body, whether it's happening to the spleen, the cervix, the breast, even headaches. It doesn't matter, toothache. And your body is your body, and it embodies all kinds of, your spirit, your heart, your energy, all of that together. And it doesn't matter if you're trying to heal a cut or you're trying to heal your liver, a body wants to heal. That's where it's at. And so when you can kind of step out of that conventional medicine dialogue and say, there's alternatives. What can I do to help my body heal? And that's where, the name of the book came from, is how can you help your body heal? There's so many avenues, and there's so much that you can do, whether it's with or without conventional treatment alongside, that makes a difference.
So, can you share a little bit about your journey when you were diagnosed with Crohn's disease? What was the thing that you did that was unconventional? Was it diet? What was your path?
Uh, I did a lot of things. The diet was big because at that time, Crohn's disease, really, they had two options that were causing Crohn's, and diet was number one. And what you were eating, and you shouldn't be eating this or that or whatever. I wasn't eating anything at the time that wasn't causing problems, so that was an issue. I was like, I don't believe that. and then and then stress. And I realized very shortly after I was diagnosed, it kind of came out that stress was not a factor. And I really debunked that really badly, because I was stressed, and stressed in different ways. I didn't have a job that I was stressful. I had 4 little kids, and just being a mom.
That is
Yeah. And
stressful.
trying to keep up and being a good parent. And I was young, I was only 23, 24 years
Oh
old
my God.
at the time that I started having kids. And so when I was diagnosed, I was all of 30. And now that seems very young to me. And so, of course, and so it was just, I think the biggest thing that I did that was so unconventional is I stomped my foot and said, you know what? You told me this disease was manageable, so I'm going to manage it. And I did take some medication at the time to kind of calm things down. It calmed my inflammation down enough that I could get a hold and kind of get ahead of the game a little bit. And then I started watching my lifestyle. And so those were the two main things. I really, really stomped my foot and said, I'm going to manage it. And to do that, I realized that I had to watch my lifestyle and what I was doing, whether it was stress or foods or not getting enough sleep. That's huge. And really allowing myself to do that.
So what were the diet changes that you made?
Diet changes I made were more simple. I came across a book at the time that talked about whole foods and food combining. And that was a game changer as far as food combining.
I've heard that can be very helpful.
It is. And how your body digests things, and how the different acids work in your stomach at different times. If you eat pasta, you have a different type of acid, and you have a different amount of acid reach your stomach than you do with a steak or with fruits and vegetables. And knowing how to combine foods with, like, you don't combine fruits with grains, because it creates acid. It creates a chemical effect in your stomach, and
oh my
God, and things like that.
See, I learned
there's
something new today. I learned something new today. I did not know that. So like this whole idea of jam on toast contributes to inflammation then.
Oh, absolutely. It does. It does. First of all, the sugar is bad for you, especially if you have a cancer or if you're predisposed. I think we all have cancer. It's whether we're predisposed to have cancer kind of overtake certain areas of our body.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But sugar is a, cancer feeder, cancer cell feeder. So first, the sugar is a problem, but also mixing that fruit with like I said, the toast, you're right. It creates a chemical imbalance in your system that will lead to heartburn or to the body working harder to digest it. When you have a chronic illness, you want to get to the point of really providing only nutrition. to your body. That doesn't mean that you can't have the taste buds that taste, or the taste bud feel good with the hamburger, or, things like that. But at the same time, you really want to only get to nutrition, and how that looks like is also including how your body needs to digest. And so you want to make it the easiest possible way for it to digest, and eating whole foods that aren't combined. I mean, it's not like a big casserole that you have all this stuff combined together, or like I said, mixing foods together.
Like another example, would it be not to mix a meat with a carb?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You can eat meats with vegetables.
Eat meat with vegetables. It's not like you're eliminating meat. You're just changing the way you eat it.
Yes.
Okay. And then what about dairy? What do they say about dairy?
Dairy is one of those things that some people it really affects, some people it doesn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It depends on the person.
I was lucky enough that dairy did not really affect me much.
Okay.
In fact, it was a really good source of protein for me.
Oh, yeah.
I did have problems eating a lot of red meat just because of the fact that it's hard to digest. And so, when Crohn's is, you don't have the digestive power of your system, then you want to go for easier ways to find proteins and things like that. There's a lot of proteins in vegetables too, but that's all knowledge. It's all knowledge. And that's where we go back to, as far as alternative health is just knowledge too, that you can do for yourself. I'll tell you a story. One of the worst possible things that, and I know Americans, this is an American thing, is a Thanksgiving dinner. That has got to be the worst possible thing for anybody.
I know. I totally don't resonate with it at all. I know.
Everybody says, "Oh, it's just a turkey hangover or whatever." No, it's the fact that you mix the turkey with the potatoes, with the pot, with the stuffing, with the fat-laden gravy, with the fruits and the cranberry sauce, and all of that together is just a disaster for digestion. And your body feels it, it just shuts down. And so,
that's interesting. Okay, so we have this, and then you started listening to your body. Was that another aspect that you did when you had Crohn's? Okay.
I did, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I really took time to figure out what was going on. First, it was just real specific questions. It was just like, well, what's going on here? How can I help myself? What can I do? And I would take some spiritual guides too. It's like people that would, authors that were writing books on spirituality and getting back in tune with yourself and things like that. And I was, and then it kind of morphed into, oh my gosh, what's going on? My knee hurts today, and I have more achy joints than I usually have. And what was I doing? And that's where I found that the sugars and ice cream in particular, it's not necessarily the dairy, but the sugars with the dairy, the ice creams, I found were a real cause for inflammation in my joints. And those kind of things. And so when I became very specific about what was happening, and why do I have heartburn today when really all I did yesterday was eat spaghetti? Well, maybe it wasn't the spaghetti. Or why do I have heartburn today? I am so worried about my daughter going off to college. Things like that. And
breaking it down.
You have to stop and listen. You really do have to take some time for you. You have to create this sacred space, is what I call it. And when you create that space around yourself to where you can tune in just to yourself and start asking questions, you can hear some answers. Usually it's a very quick, intuitive kind of thing. And everybody can do it. I've worked with people that have told me, it's like, oh, I can't hear myself. My body doesn't talk to me. I don't hear anything. But when they really get into that spot, it was like, what was the first thing that came to your mind? And they said, well, I thought about the baseball game yesterday. Okay, what did you eat? What did you do at the baseball game? Well, I was really tired. I didn't feel good. I didn't really want to go anyway. The person I was with was just irritating me. and maybe I had a hot dog. And I said, okay, let's pick up pieces apart from that of what your body's trying to tell you when you thought about the baseball game, obviously, when there was some issue there. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's wonderful. And I do that with my clients. And I was wondering your process. So I have this belief, I trained under a soul healer, that
mhm.
everything in our body has a soul and we can communicate with it. So I address it like for example, the knee. Dear soul of the knee, do you have a message for me? Why are you in pain? So that's how I do it. And what's your process? So you just
Oh,
in general, you listen?
yeah, that's beautiful. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Because yeah, everything does have a soul.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, that's my belief.
it's
Not
very
everyone
close.
believes that, it's a little bit Buddhist, but yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. It's perfect. It's
Uh-huh.
perfect. It's kind of the same.
Okay.
Literally, if something is bothering you, and I had a lot of gut issues, and so I would really tune into my gut. I would lay down, and I would kind of, I would calm myself, take some deep breaths, do some breathing exercises. I did this really early on when it really wasn't even a thing, I guess, which
Deep
is
breathing
interesting.
is so good. And that's so
It is.
healing.
Yeah. And so you do the deep breathing, and then you kind of create a light force, kind of a glow, kind of like a flashlight glow, just a glow wherever you're feeling the issue, whether it's in your knee or, like I said, my gut. And I would
Mhm.
feel that glow get bigger and bigger and bigger to where it was kind of expanding to the point of where it would encompass, my whole torso. And
Oh,
at
that
that
feels
point,
very spiritual.
yeah, at that point, I would start asking the questions. It's like, am I doing okay? Am I not doing okay? What can I do to help? What can what can I change in my lifestyle? What's causing me the stress, and any kind of those questions. And usually the questions kind of just come to you at that point. And so, yeah, and then you start, when you, like I said, maybe it's just the baseball game and there's a bigger concept that comes along in your mind. It's just kind of this intuitive thought that that's what comes into your head. And you can kind of dissect that.
Hmm. Yeah, that's an incredible process. That's so beautiful. I love it. It feels like you're getting into a space where you can connect with the collective consciousness, the
Mm-hmm.
divine, your spirit guides, anything.
That's exactly right. That collective consciousness. And I think it has a double edge effect too. That
Mm.
when you bring that healing light in, because then when you concentrate, you have that powerful light, in whatever's hurting, and you bring that in, it also brings in the healing. It is a healing light, and it promotes love. So what you're doing is you're just slam basting. You're just doing whatever you can. You're completely engulfing that piece of your body in love with that healing light. So,
Oh, that's so beautiful. And when I was healing myself of cancer, I worked with healers in addition to naturopaths, osteopaths, a lot of different types of physicians,
mhm.
and natural medicine doctors, but also trusted my own instincts, did my own research, did detox. I did a detox of all of my organs, all of them systematically. And
And that's what it
parasite
takes.
cleanse.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
body is a whole body. Yeah.
yeah, my whole body.
Yeah.
And so it's like I was going through this whole process, and what I visualized was water. So when I did the healing to myself, I did your process. So I would talk to my cells, the cells that had cancer, and I would
Mhm.
talk to them every day, and I would send them love, and I would also visualize like waves, like my body was in the ocean, and like waves would come through my body and cleanse my cells. So that was my visual. And I love that you have the light. I think the light is really
Mhm.
powerful, and I do that now in my healings. But at the time, I was using the ocean.
Yeah, absolutely. That water is powerful. We're mostly water. And when we can visualize that, that's you're like a poster child for the healing habits. It's amazing.
I
You're
am.
great.
I am totally. I could write a testimonial in there for you.
Yep.
Okay, so what do responsibility, identity, and purpose have to do with healing?
Um, yeah, kind of my mantras go along with that. Uh, I think one of my big mantras is you can decide how sick you want to be. And when you embody that, it becomes a responsibility. You are responsible for how sick you want to be. You know, you can sit on the couch and you can say, "Oh, woe is me," and say, "Oh, this medication has given me this side effect or that side effect, and I'll never be well, and it's just part of my family history." And all of those things send you down a path that you just don't want to stay in if you want to be healthy. And so it becomes your responsibility to see what you can do for yourself. And that's where I stomped my foot, made that decision, and said, "You know what? I am going to manage this if it can be managed." And in doing that, it created an identity. And so you're not ever going to be that healthy person that you want to be, or in remission, or a survivor, or anything of the sort, if you're going to stay in that identity of I'm a diseased person. I
That's
have
so
cancer.
true.
I have, I'm just in remission, but and it's like, no, no, no. You have to decide that you are that healthy person. You have no disease in your body.
Yes.
And if you do, which we all are going to fall back, forth, and
Yeah,
up and
of
down,
course.
it's going to come back. But if you do, that identity is going to carry you forward into, okay, I can fix this.
Right.
I can fix this again. I fixed it once, I can fix it again. Type identity.
Yeah.
And um yeah, and then when you come into, I think one of our biggest ways is gratitude. That's where we stay where we want to be, is being thankful for everything. Thankful for the disease, that it's a message from your body saying, "Hey, help me, something's wrong. I can't deal with this anymore." To the point of blessing the doctors, blessing the nurses, blessing the little tidbits of information that you possibly can get today, through a song, through the inspirations that somebody might, just haphazardly put into your feed on Facebook, things like that. Those, when you're grateful and can really feel grateful for the life you have, for the good things in your life, then you become that person, you become that identity, and that identity is going to carry you forward. Um, the other piece that I really concentrate on is purpose. Um, you have to have a purpose. Everybody has to, we're all searching for a purpose, whether we know it or not. We're all searching for our purpose, and to live our purpose, and to be our best person that we could possibly be, and all of the above. And so we really need to find that purpose and hold that first front and center on us, so that we have something to be accountable for. When I decided that I was going to manage Crohn's, my purpose was to grow up with my kids. I wanted to be there for them. I didn't want to be someone that had surgery, or was sick all the time, or couldn't get off the couch, and all of the above. I wanted to be out running around, and that was my purpose. So
Yeah, those kids, man, they can give it to you. They can give you that
yes,
purpose. And
lots
good
of
for
purpose.
you that
Yeah.
that you had that. And my purpose at the time was similar. But I feel like it's so much greater now. And like you're saying, that gratitude, I am so grateful for that dis-ease that happened to me, because it really got me connected to my body and to communicate with my body. And now
Mhm.
it's like, and I appreciate my body on like a whole nother level. It's almost like I was disconnected or compartmentalized or something. And maybe a lot of people feel that way. Do you think?
I think that's very true. I think there's a lot of us that don't know whether we're coming or going, is how I kind of describe it.
Mm-hmm.
And we do need to become whole again.
Mm-hmm.
In years past and in, generations past, I think we had more of a core unit, whether it was our family or our purpose of being on the farm or whatever it was. I think there was more of a core purpose. And
Yeah.
we are very disconnected now. We're very disconnected to, well, just social media and things like that, how we feel like we're connected, but we've never had a conversation in the whole day. It's like, really? And, I found myself doing that too. And it's like, I've been here all day. I've worked all day. I've done all of this. And, I've had hits and bits of social media pieces of it or telephone calls or things like that. But have I really connected with anybody? I haven't given anybody a hug. I had,
Oh.
things like that. And
You
so,
can give me a hug right now.
oh
I'll
yeah,
receive it.
I give you a hug. Absolutely.
I'll do a virtual hug.
Yes,
Yeah, that,
yes,
it's true. It's great. That's why I love to do podcast interviews because it gives me an excuse to connect with people on a deeper level and also help
yes.
others. So it's multiple purposes. But yeah,
It's a great
and then another
platform.
yeah. And then another thing you were saying, which is so funny you said this because I really am on the same page as you when you were talking about remission. Oh, I'm in remission. That like I never resonated with that because I'm just like I'm a healthy person and that's healed and that's
Mm-hmm.
it. Not like saying, "Oh, it could come back someday. It's going to come back any moment." Because that's like scary for people to hear that, I think.
Oh, it is.
That
It
you're in
keeps you in
that
that
you've had
fear.
cancer and you're in remission. Yeah.
Yeah, keeps you in that fear. And yeah, I completely agree. Where we think along the same way. Don't even identify as a cancer
I
victim
know.
or anyone that even had cancer. I just don't. And it's funny because you can kind of find in your world what you believe.
Yeah.
And the type of cancer that I had when it was diagnosed, they said, I had 6 months to live. That was it.
Lord have
This
mercy.
was 10
Thank
and a
you
half
for
years
that.
ago.
Thank
Yes.
you for that.
But I had 6 months to live. It was so bad. It was so awful. And I think it's part of the reason that I completely negated that in my life.
I
I just don't
see.
resonate with it at all. There was a study that came out, and the study was there in 2015 when I was diagnosed. It's actually now being released and kind of talked about now. The type of cancer that I had, actually, they've decided that it really isn't a cancer at all.
Oh,
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that
you're
crazy? It
kidding
was like,
me.
no
Breast
kidding.
cancer?
Breast cancer that they've
Okay,
decided that it,
no, I have not heard, I have not read this
yeah.
research. Bring it, girl. Tell me. What is it? I want to hear it.
I honestly, I don't have the particulars right in front of me right now, or I can send
Okay,
it to
no,
you when I
I know
find
I'm
it. Yeah,
calling you out, but
yeah,
but like,
yeah.
do you have like a little bit, like a little teaser that it's not cancer, but it's like a parasite or
Not that it was a parasite, but that it was one of those things the mammograms were catching as small tumors, and that when they were biopsied, they were showing abnormal cells. And at the time, it was the abnormal cells that they created as a cancer. And because of the label that they had put on these abnormal cells, it was one supposedly it was new, and it wasn't something that fit into their list of, okay, these are the cells and this is what it is, and
oh,
how the
so they put it
and
under that category of cancer.
they put it under the category of cancer as an abnormal cell. And because it was new and they had no data to support what the outcomes were, it was just one of the worst ones possible. That's just what they told me. And I was just like, wow. And at the time, of course, it was like, no, you're not going to tell me that. You have no right to tell me that, I'm going to be gone in 6 months for
Yeah,
something that,
that's like
it was just that just was mean anyway. I think that that's a misnomer for doctors to say. But at the same time, yeah, then to find out that it was one of those. And isn't that scary? Isn't that scary for that people will believe
millions,
that?
billions of people.
Billions of people will believe that because they haven't taken that responsibility for themselves, or they don't have the belief, or they haven't had the training, or they haven't had the encouragement. I like to say the encouragement, the permission to just look outside of the box.
Uh-huh.
Why do you believe that just blindly? And so
Mm.
that's where I'm at. That's why I have this book out. That's why I'm talking to people, because I just don't think it should be a blind belief.
Yeah, yeah, that's so interesting. And now I'm thinking the same thing. Any type of cancer where they find it's abnormal cells, and that
Mm-hmm.
leads to further discovery, MRIs or PET scans or whatever it might be.
Right. Right.
So fascinating. Well, what lifestyle habits do you feel were the root cause of your disease?
Hmm. I think I'm very emotional, and I think most people with that develop diseases can probably fit into that that section of our of our humanism is that I think emotions. I swallowed a lot of emotions,
Oh,
and
you press things
I think
down.
that, yeah, I think that that's really, really part of the Crohn's. And when I started screaming, and when I started crying, and when I started just deciding who I was and what I wanted, it calmed the Crohn's down quite a bit. It was a release of those gut emotions. So I would say that that was probably one of the biggest lifestyle habits that I did, was
Wonderful.
really knowing my emotions and owning my emotions. And that's still hard for me at times, it's still really hard. But I think
Yeah.
that's one of the root causes that we have. Detoxing the chemicals out of our life is probably number two. We have so many awful chemicals that we just don't even
Yeah.
realize,
Heavy
that,
metals.
yeah, heavy metals that are sitting in our system. And the thing is, they don't tell us that these things are bad, that's starting to come out now. We don't even know that they're there. We don't even know. We
It's
just figure we
true.
have a system that, we eat, it digests, and we just pass it through. Well, that's not the case at all. These things
I
are just,
yeah, I interviewed
attacking.
a researcher on it. Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, big, big thing with that. And the other thing is staying in our routines, but also being out in nature. That's probably, if not my number one, two, three, three, two, one, two, three, one, whatever it is, those top three is being out in nature. Get your feet on the ground, get your hands in the sand. Um, it doesn't matter if it's out swimming, or if it's hiking in the woods, or if it's just sitting with your back against a tree. It's huge. Nature has such a restorative energy for us, and we really need to take advantage of that. And it's free. And that one's just free.
I love it. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Oh, that's so
I
great.
like to be out. Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm wondering, do you talk about movement at all?
I
It's
do.
me
I
taking a
do.
walk, but yeah, movement.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And it doesn't have to be a gym membership. I am not a gym membership person. I just hate gyms, to be quite honest. I mean, you'd have to pay me to go to a gym. But but movement, just the movement of life, to be quite honest, when you're really, really sick and you're really, really hurting, it's hard to move. It's hard to do anything like that. And, I like the chair yogas and that have come out, and the ease kind of things that are there. But you know what? Vacuuming your house, washing your windows, throwing laundry up and down, running up and down the stairs. It's all movement. And for a lot of years, that's what I did for movement. And really, it was, I did some specific stretches and specific things that, would help um, lymph drainage, probably more than anything, very specific for lymph drainage. But honestly, it's just life, and I'm an accountant. And so I'd sit behind a desk a lot, but I was always moving my ankles or getting up and down and,
Oh, that's
things like
good.
that. Just stretching, just
Okay.
a basic stretch, hands over the head, you know, every 10 minutes or 15 minutes makes a big difference. So, yeah.
That's
But
great.
if you want to be a runner, be a runner. If you want to be a swimmer, be a swimmer. If you want to be a cyclist, be a cyclist. If you want to be a gym rat, be a gym rat. I think they all have value.
Yeah.
All have value.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It's up to the person, but I'm thinking in general, any type of movement, whatever that means to you, is beneficial for getting
Mm-hmm.
the toxins out and helping the body heal. Do you think?
Yes, yeah. The lymph system is one of the things I learned about that, and this has just been in the last 10 years or so, that is so important to us. And our those fluids in our body don't move without our muscles being moved. You think that it's all about the heart and the blood and pumping and things like that, but that's just one piece. That's just one system of our, the liquids in our body. And the endocrine system is amazing. And when you can start studying that a little bit and realizing that if you don't move your muscles, it doesn't move. And that's where things start tightening up and start getting stuck. And you have this and that and just kind of stuck little pockets of your body. And so that's a big one. And so that you have to have movement. You have to, even if it is just walking around the house. I used to walk with my dad around the house. Was afraid to get out. And it's like, okay, well, let's just walk around the house. And we would make laps, in the house. And it'd get him up and moving. So,
Yeah, that's neat. Oh, that's so good that you encouraged him to do that. And my grandmother, she passed away, but she used to do the stairs in the house.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I was proud of her. I was like, well, stairs is a good workout.
it is.
Yeah. Well, what does it take to help a body heal itself?
hmm. It takes, in our modern lifestyle, it takes determination. It takes thinking outside the box. It takes believing that um, normal isn't good enough anymore. I think that we have to stop and look at our standard everyday lifestyle that we're living now, especially Americans. And we have to realize that our lifestyle has caused this dis-ease in our system. It really has. And to help the body heal, you need to kind of undo all of that. And the good part is you can start today and do that. Our bodies are regenerating all the time, and it's searching for knowledge, and our heart is just waiting to bust out of us, and our emotions are just waiting to be happy, and all of that. And when you allow that to happen, your body's going to heal. It's going to grab onto that with everything that it has to be able to feel better and realize it's not a punishment to you. It's certainly not anything that it's certainly something that you've done wrong, but it's not because it's a punishment. So
Yeah, it's not a spiritual punishment for
no, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what's next for you?
Hmm. I would love to get onto a speaking tour. I love to talk to people and I love to be out and spreading this message. And so I'm really excited about that. And I have a membership site that I am currently making live this week, probably. And so it should be live.
Oh,
It should be live at any given time here. And
okay.
so it's a
Did you give me
membership
that
site.
website? Did you send
If
it
you
to
go
me?
to Rebecca,
Okay.
RebeccaRenck.com, it's
Okay. Yeah, I can put it in
RebeccaRenck.com.
the show notes too. So,
Okay, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so that'll lead you to a membership site. We have
Okay.
3 different levels that we're going to do. It's a kind of a basic, a premium, and a more of a coaching site. But they are. I think it's really exciting. I'm really excited about it. It's a private little space. It's a sacred space, and I actually call it the Sacred Habit Journal. And so this Sacred Habit Journal is where we can explore and we can help each other and support each other and offer resources and wins and all kinds of things. And so I'm excited about the membership side. I really am. And
Oh,
so,
that's
yeah.
amazing. Thank you for sharing. And last question, what is Zen success to you?
Zen success. Um, it is. I've thought about this and thought about this because I love your show. And so,
Oh, thank
um,
you.
I Zen success to me is living your authentic sovereign self and being everything that you can be. You know, I found a grace inside of myself that I just didn't even know was missing when I figured out that I could heal. And I think that's what success is. I think that's the Zen success of everybody that we should be striving for, is that grace and finding our own self within us.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. That was just poetic and
Oh, thank
wonderful.
you. Thank
Such a
you.
flow. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you. You're like my soul sister. I feel really
I
connected and
agree.
learning about your book, Healing Habits, How to Help Your Body Heal Itself from Chronic
Mhm.
Illness. And I'll put your website, how to join your membership, how to buy your book and connect with you. And thanks for being on my show, Rebecca.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was a great connection. Loved it. Loved it.
That's it for today's episode of Zen Success. Head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show and share with friends. Be sure to head on over to ZenSuccessShow.com to help you on your Zen success journey. And join us on the next episode. May you find your own Zen success in life.